What's up guys, Jesse here. So these are the Beats Studio Buds, and I think they're a really interesting set of earbuds because one, they come from a company that made spending hundreds of dollars on headphones normal, but also I think they kind of give us a look at the new direction that Beats as a brand is going. So we all know that a couple of years ago Beats was acquired by Apple. And we also know that since then, Apple has created the Airpods and all of their variations, which are all very premium audio devices, at least if we're talking about the price tags. So that kind of creates a conflict of interest for Apple. On one hand, we've got the premium audio devices under the Airpods brand, but on the other, we've also got the premium audio devices under the Beats brand, and I promise this is going somewhere. So if both of these brands operate in the same space, how do you promote one without hurting the other? After all, Apple did spend a lot of money to acquire Beats, and they're not just going to let it die out. Well, Apple's solution was to simply let them operate in different price points and let Beats become the more budget-oriented option. We kind of got a whiff of this when they released the Beats Flex, a $50 pair of wireless earbuds, but now with these, the Beats Studio Buds, I think the picture begins to get a lot more clear. And I feel like with this release, all of the decisions that Apple made were made very carefully to keep these below the AirPods in Apple's product hierarchy. One of the most obvious ones being price. The Beats Studio Buds retail for $150, while the standard non-wireless charging AirPods retail for $160. A difference of only $10, but still a difference nonetheless. Nice. But I mean, this video isn't going to be about how these are just a dumbed down version of the AirPods, because even though I think these are aimed at a lower market, they're just really different overall, and I think they did a good job at keeping what's important. So let's start this off with the case, because you guys know whenever we take a look at wireless earbuds, I always say that the case is just as important as the buds themselves when it comes to using these things as a whole. Overall, the size is pretty compact. These definitely are not the smallest I've seen, but they managed to keep the thickness pretty well managed, so it fits pretty well into a pocket. Design-wise, I think it's okay. A little bit more bulbous than I would prefer, but not too bad. I got it here in the classic Beats Red, which I've always been a fan of, and it's got this nice matte finish on it that I really like, but I'm sure that it will get scratched up very fast. Opening it and closing it is also super satisfying. I think Apple does this better than pretty much every other company out there, and they continue that trend here. The hinge is super smooth, and they use one of the strongest magnets that I've ever used in one of these cases. And it just creates this super satisfying snap every time you close it. And if you're a fidgeter like I am, this one is definitely top tier. Now moving on to the buds, they've got this pretty simple rounded design with this pill-shaped protrusion, which actually creates a really nice place to grip onto when you're holding them. They fit really nicely into the ears, and I find them to be very comfortable even for long listening sessions. And sometimes I can almost even kind of forget that they're there, which is pretty much the highest praise I can give as far as comfort goes. Although something to watch out for is that they do use that kind of typical silicone ear tip design, which I know a lot of people don't like. So if that's you, these might be something you want to avoid. The fit is also really good and easily passes the head shake test. They're IPX4 sweat resistant, and because they're so lightweight, about 5 grams per bud, I think they actually work really well as workout headphones. A lot of the time with the heavier earbuds, you can just kind of feel the weight shifting around every time you take a step or move your head, and even if they don't fall out, it's still pretty uncomfortable. Not the case with these. They don't have any secure fit wings or ear hooks or anything like that, so this is something that you're gonna have to test for yourself. But for me, they worked really well even without them. These glossy parts on the outside of the earbuds are the media control buttons that will let you play, pause, skip, and reverse, and toggle between ANC and transparency mode. I really don't like these buttons though, because basically every time you use them, you're forced to kind of jam the earbuds further and further into your ear, and it just gets really uncomfortable and annoying over time. The active noise cancellation on these are actually pretty good though. And it's to the point that I would say that for the price point, these are pretty much best in class. So not the best I've ever used, that definitely goes to the Sony WF-1000X M4s, but in this kind of $150 price range, these are pretty much the best you're going to get. Transparency mode is a little bit less impressive though. I mean, It's okay, but it's nowhere near something like the AirPods Pro, where they can basically fool your ears into thinking that you're not wearing any earbuds at all. With these, they definitely sound very muffled, and I would not want to use these for any significant amount of time. Alright, so now here's a sample of the audio that you'll be able to get from the mics on the Beats Studio Buds. And I'll just use this as a chance to tell you guys about the battery specs. So you get 8 hours of continuous playback with ANC off, 5 hours with it on, and 2 more charges in the case. And you also get a quick charge feature for 1 hour of playback with a 5-minute charge. They also charge via USB-C, which I always love to see, but they lack wireless charging, which is really a shame because I just find that to be the most convenient way to charge earbuds. Another interesting omission on these is the lack of an H1 chip. So you actually can still get that instant pairing without having to dive into the Bluetooth settings, but you don't get that intelligent device switching that you get with all the AirPods. Also, the instant pairing does work on both Android and iOS, which is really cool, and it'll prompt you to download the Beats app if you haven't already, and it gives you some pretty basic controls. Basically, all you can do is control noise cancellation, change the name of the headphones, or change what holding the button will do. No EQ or anything like that, so you better like how these guys sound. So how do they sound? Well, they sound pretty much exactly how you would expect Beats to sound. Plenty of bass, plenty of treble, but a very recessed mid-range, especially where vocals are concerned. I mean, I think they sound fine, and I think most people will find these pretty enjoyable to listen to, especially if you listen to a lot of hip-hop or really anything that has a lot of bass. Not really my preference though, the mid-range is just a little bit too overpowered by that bass, and vocals just kind of tend to sound like they're coming from another room. My preferences might be a little bit different than most people's though, because if I were given the choice between better mids or better bass, I would almost always go for the better mids, which is, I don't think, a decision that most people would make. And I think that's perfectly fine. Sound is subjective, and for the sound that Beats is going for, I think they actually did a pretty good job, especially considering the price point. And overall, I think these earbuds aren't bad. And in typical Apple fashion, they created a product that is pretty decent all around from a usability standpoint, but doesn't really stand out in any particular one category. And like I said in the intro of this video, I feel like the most interesting part of these earbuds is what they say about where Apple is taking Beats as a brand. Anyways, that's it for this one. Remember to smash that like button, and if you enjoy content like this, think about subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss anything. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!